All right, welcome to Witchpolice Radio. I'm doing another quick hit interview, and I like to call these micro interviews because they're just sort of, in some cases, introductions to artists that are maybe new to me and new to some of the listeners, and it's just kind of a way to find out a little bit more about people who are doing music in the city in a format that's a bit different from my regular kind of lengthy interviews. So, your music is new to me, and I think the best way to start this off is if you want to introduce yourself and just maybe give a bit of background about what you've been doing in Winnipeg's music scene.
I am Fresh Prince 204. I go by Fresh Prince as my artist name. Um, Basically, I make all genres of music except for country, really.
Okay.
I had my first start really getting into the scene with like 393, like Pipskit, a couple other people like that before things started kind of escalating a bit for me.
Okay.
As far as things go right now, my focus is kind of just like working with other artists and just trying to network as much as possible and bring people together. Really, that's my biggest focus for this year.
Cool. Well, it's interesting how many people have come out of that 393 thing. I mean, it seems like a lot of young people in the community are learning from artists like Pipskid and some of these older guys who've been doing this for decades and just really kind of honing their craft and you know becoming their own notable musicians in their own right. So, what was your experience like, kind of learning from guys like that who have had all this experience in the scene and making records and touring and all that?
I would say honestly, it was phenomenal. To go from where I was before I had met them to that point there was a very drastic change. And we went from maybe like a show or two a year to when I was doing shows like every 2-3 months kind of thing with like me and my friends, or like a lot of just opportunities and stuff that we never really thought would happen the way that it happened. But because we had those people helping us and believing in us, we're actually to make things happen like that. Like what would be a good example? Like Nuit Blanche or
Sure.
stuff like that, you know? So it's very cool coming up like that and to get that kind of experience from people who could help us like that and give us that support.
Yeah, yeah. Did that create kind of a community for you as well of other people, in this in the music scene, learning and developing the same way that you did?
I believe so, yes. Not all of us like today, like of course it's been a couple of years, not all of us
Sure,
today
sure.
always get together to, the same studios and stuff, but as far as things go, everyone's still kind of doing their own things. And when it comes to, if someone needs something, you can still go like, oh, hey, I remember so and so from 393, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I like what you said earlier about how you do all kinds of music except for country. And
yeah.
what? So, I mean, do you have sort of an easier way of defining what it is you do, what your sound is? Because I mean, that's obviously it's not country. We know that. But like, I mean, what's kind of the short form? If someone runs into you and they haven't seen you in a while and they say, "Oh, you're making music now," what's the kind of a more narrow way to define what your sound is?
Geez, I don't know. It's hard for me sometimes because I find like sometimes my music doesn't fit into a genre because it can be really like almost like a contemporary sound if you could put it like
Okay,
that.
okay.
Um, I don't know. I
Okay.
like to say maybe like dark rap or something like
Dark rap.
that.
Okay. Maybe a better way to ask that question then is what are your influence? Like, what music did you come up listening to?
A
And is
wide
that
variety.
as varied as what you're saying for your own sound too?
Um, a little bit, yeah, to an extent, because I don't know. I From a young age, I started listening to like 50 Cent or like even really anything that was on the radio at the time or whatever my parents were playing. I had cousins who were playing like Avril Lavigne and stuff like that. So like my
Okay. Yeah.
music was all around coming up. It wasn't until I think probably like around high school where I really got into like Kanye West and stuff like that, which is where the inspiration came into that.
Right. What is the experience been with your stage name of Fresh Prince? Because obviously, there is I know you spell it differently, but Fresh Prince for a lot of people, especially my age and older, we have this association with somebody else, right? Has that ever?
Yeah.
Obviously, people don't think you're Will Smith, but has that name ever been an issue for you? I mean, are you worried about that? If you blow up, what happens then with the name? With potential legal stuff.
A couple people have brought that up and asked me like if I would be interested in changing my name. I can't really find anything else that fits though. And like for me, when I say it, it's like it's spelled different, and I think like it's one of those things where I feel like it's if you know, you know, and if you don't know, it's kind of
Yeah.
you know. But like when you do know, it's a cool thing if you do know kind of thing. It's a surprise. It's like, oh, there's another Fresh Prince kind of thing. Like, what's he up to? What's he about? Kind of thing.
Right, right. Where did that name come from for you? Like, what does it represent to you?
I actually didn't make it myself.
Oh, really?
My
Okay, okay.
first song, I believe it was like grade 9 or something like that. I recorded it. I sent it to the sound engineer. No name on it, no title, no art, like nothing, just a blank track. And he sent it back, and for whatever reason, he's like, "Yeah, I just decided to name it like Fresh Prince." And like he's asking like, "You need a name and stuff like that." I was like, "I'm just rapping, man. Like I don't,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know." So yeah, that ended up being the one that we just ended up picking and running with that one.
And how long have you run with it now at this point? Like how many years have you been using that name?
I'd say like at least like probably 6, 7 years, something like that.
Because
Yeah.
I've seen your name around for sure, but yeah, this is my first time actually, talking to you. But I guess what is your experience been like? And the reason I asked this question just before I ask it is that
Mm,
I'm I grew up. I'm almost 40. I grew up listening to some of those guys that you would have had as mentors, at 393 and stuff like that. So my conception of the local rap scene is is definitely set in the like, kind of Peanuts and Corn, like late 90s, early 2000s era. And so I find that I'm often confused by what's going on now because I'm so out of the loop in the sense that, I have kids who are almost as old as some of these 18-year-olds and stuff rapping in the city, right? So I feel very detached from it. So what has your kind of experience been within the local rap scene and within that community? Is it, I guess, what is the scene like now from your perspective?
um, in my mind, the scene has always been welcoming. Like I feel if you are confident in what you're doing and you want to, do something, there will be people who will reach out to you, or you
Yeah.
can reach out to them to kind of get to that point. The scene's always had its bumpy points, where certain people come together and blah 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 happens, but for the most part, like I say, the scene is very accepting, and like coming now to this year, especially with all the new sounds like you're saying that are coming out of the city from a lot of these young cats, like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's phenomenal.
Yeah. What's it been like for you dealing with this pandemic? I mean, I know it's affected everyone, especially people doing creative things, right? But have you found it to be a period where you are able to create, and are you blocked during this time? Because I find it's either one or the other. People are really, really creative and really, really functional and putting out lots of music or working on lots of stuff, or they're just kind of like, oh, what, I don't know what to do.
Mm. Um, well, for me, like I kind of have like a day plan where how I wake up in the morning, kind of plan my things out. So I could have like
Okay.
a random writing schedule at one point in the day, or random recording sessions or something. But as far as the Corona has, like it hasn't really affected too much of my recording process and stuff. Like if I want to go to the studio, it's kind of just like buzz, 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 see who's
Right.
around kind of thing.
Right. Well, that's good then, I guess. Yeah, because I mean, I think it depends on the type of artist you are too. Because a lot of people, if they got like a 5-person band or something, that makes things a little more complicated because of social distancing and stuff. But if you're a solo artist, I guess you have the convenience of being able to sort of do things on your own schedule without having to involve all these other people. I mean, obviously you're working with other people as well, but it's a little bit of a different scenario.
Yeah, like we keep it like definitely under 5 people when we're in the studio. It's probably just me if we have an artist for a feature there, and the sound engineer. That's usually how we go about it.
Yeah. What do you have coming up in the near future? Have you been working on anything that's going to be coming out relatively soon?
We have a couple projects on the side right now, about 3 music videos and a couple singles. We're just kind of trying to decide which one we want to drop first because we have just a lot of content right now. It's just the overflow, and the focus right now is on proper delivery.
Okay. What does that look like? Because I mean, coronavirus aside, the environment for music has definitely changed over even the last few years in the sense of the way to get yourself out there is very different. You can't just be an artist. You have to be an artist, and you have to be able to market yourself and sell yourself. And there's all these kind of other business sort of aspects that are now tied into being an independent artist. So what is that like for you? I mean, what's the process of putting music out in the world for someone like you now?
For me, it would start by the recording process, having the song done. Then after I have that, there's the group of A&Rs I would send it to. I have a huge email list I've built over the last 6, 7 years of
Cool,
people
cool.
local and like around the world. So get in contact with them. Some of them charge their rates. Get in contact with whoever at Spotify I have to for playlisting. So it ends up being this huge process. Then you got to go for like the who can play you on the radio at this point, which interviews can you book, who's looking for what, and which magazine, like you know what I mean. So you kind of
Yeah.
got to really attack the market from all angles and just kind of see what you can dip your feet into and kind of just run with it.
And that's the whole process that happens for even each single, I guess, right? I mean, you just have to do the whole lead up to releasing anything with all of that work.
Yeah, yeah.
Where can people hear your stuff right now? What's the best option for people to check out what you already have released, or if they're hearing this later on, maybe hear some of the newer stuff you've done as well.
For right now, I'd say Spotify is my core place for distribution. I will be switching back to SoundCloud soon because they
Okay.
have changed up the in the favor of the artist now. So I'll be coming back there soon. But for now, Spotify will be the main place to stream my music.
Okay, and I assume it's probably on a bunch of those other platforms as well, right?
Oh, it's on every platform.
Yeah,
Every
it's all of
platform,
them.
but mostly I direct everyone towards my Spotify for the most part. Though I found a lot of people that do interact with my music and stuff just have Spotify over Apple or et cetera, et cetera.
Sure, sure. And then if people are listening to this, maybe once the pandemic's over, someone finds this episode and wants to find out what you're up to, whether you're playing anything live, whether you have new releases, what's the best way to sort of keep in touch with what not listening to your music, but just following kind of what you're up to in the community?
I got Instagram. You can hit me up on Instagram. I usually post things on there when it's time to come close to release or something, or if I'm doing something, you'll probably hear about it on there. I got my Facebook fan page where sometimes just rather it's random pictures or whatever, if it's an update on what I'm doing. And then if you just want to hear some jokes and shit talking, I'm always on Twitter shooting shits.
Right on.